Hi there, my name is Veronique from Choose to Be. So I'm here to talk to you about different type of joints. So what I mainly want to talk to you about is the difference between balls and socket joint and hinge joint. So first it's important to know what is the difference between a ball and socket joint and a hinge joint. So if we think about hinge joint, they're pretty simple. They only usually do flexion and extension. So a flexion is when the length of the muscle shorten, and an extension is when the length of the muscle increase. So it's only doing these two. So we can think of the elbow would be a hinge joint, and the knee, same thing. It does a flexion and an extension. Ball and socket, they're your hips and your shoulder. So they have big range of movement, but they also pretty unstable for that same reason. So if we think of the femur, let's say that this is my femur, and the head of my femur, it's inside the hip joint and it has lots of movement. So there's lots of different movements you can do. You can do flexion, extension at the hips, abduction, adduction. You can also do rotation. So there's lots of different movements you can do and combine these different movements together. So what I want to talk to you is like starting to think a little bit further. So what is the difference between these two type of joint? What do you need for these type of joint? So I often like thinking in terms of mobility versus stability. So a hinge joint will need stability. So it needs the muscle around the joint, so forearms, bicep, tricep. It needs these muscles to be strong to provide stability at the joint, so there's no injury. Where ball and socket joint, shoulder and hips, if you think of them, they will need mobility. So it will be really important to make sure, like doing all these kneeling knee circle, leg swing, all the rest of it, to make sure the joint is well lubricated, but also to prevent injury, because that's what they need. If your range of motion start to be limited in these joints, then often it will affect the joint above and below. So let's say I'm lacking the mobility I need in my hips, it might start affecting my lower back or my knee, for example. Okay, it doesn't say for sure that's going to be it, but that might be something that will lead to that. So again, thinking in terms of what is the type of joint I'm working with and what is the function or the needs of that joint. So I like giving the example often of a door. I can relate a little bit those two type of joint with a door. The door handle will be your ball and socket, where it turn and it need to turn freely, where your hinges, the door hinges, they need to be strong to support the door and simply open and close the door. So it's a little bit the parallel that I give there. So I hope that this help understand and start giving you a little bit of curiosity, like why am I doing this type of movement for these joints, and what should I consider when I do things like that. So for example, I totally understand the need to do bicep curl, tricep extension, form strengthening exercise to really provide the stability that my elbow or knee needs. I need to strengthen my quadricep, my hamstring, my calf muscle. But for my hips and shoulder, it's like really complex. I need to make sure that I do a lot of arm rotation, kneeling circle, to really keep the health of that joint, because that's what it needs. So yeah, I hope you appreciate that, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. I'm a pro trainer with CanFit Pro. Thanks.